The court said, "Please have the jurors brought in."
Jury present.
The court said, "Please be seated." Members of the jury, I apologize for the lateness of your lunch. Remember, you're still under oath.
The witness said, "Yes, Your Honor."
The court said, "You may continue."
Mr. Ferguson said, "Thank you, Your Honor." Ms. Loftus, if we could go back to Government Exhibit Z9. If we can go to page 113.
By Mr. Ferguson.
All right. Now, Mr. Medrano, before the lunch break we were looking at this chart entry. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Ms. Loftus, if we could scroll down to pages 114 to 115. And we had most recently played the V5 video. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, "All right. Now, Ms. Loftus, we can play that." And Mr. Medrano, I'm going to ask you to read the paragraph that starts, "I had a meeting with."
Yes.
Please.
Video played on mute.
I had a meeting with Brother Long Island, Kai, and USAO this afternoon before I got on the car. It's just a simple thing. For those fellow fighters who would like to buy G Club memberships. If you have $H account, then you can buy G Club membership directly with your $H account. If there are issues with formalities on the transaction between $H and G Club, please see the public live broadcast of the Alliance Committee that Brother Long Island and Old Squad Lead hosted, which will inform you all the details. Reasonably and legally. Anyone can purchase the membership of G Club with $H when you have $H and $H account. There are still many people asking questions, including Brother Long Island and Kai told me that. Some of the fellow fighters asked, will I still get a free stock offer when I buy a G Club membership, _? 100%. Because I said that I have to promise that anyone who buys G Club membership before September 17th must be allotted shares. Which is exactly the same. Because we said that anyone can choose whether to use your money to buy G Club before September 17th. G Club and the stock shares. You'll get both.
And Mr. Medrano, we saw this video of July 30th, 2021. Do you recall that?
Yes.
So that's about 9 to 10 months after the October 2020 no stock video?
Correct.
Mr. Ferguson said, "All right. Ms. Loftus, go back to the chart, please. And just scroll down to the next page, please." All right. Now this was a video we looked at earlier, right, Mr. Medrano?
Yes.
What's the date of this entry?
August 11th, 2021.
Where was it posted?
On YouTube.
Mr. Ferguson said, "All right. Let's go to page 116, Ms. Loftus, please." All right. And I want to go to V3. And Mr. Medrano, we won't need to play the video, but in the interest of time, I'll just ask you to read the text under V3, please.
Yes. Fellow fighters, you will be one of them. If there is an opportunity like this in front you, and if there is such a platform for you, ask yourself that will you have a second option? What did you pay? All the members of these societies, all the credit card owners you see, and all the brands behind them. How many lives, how many deaths, how many adventures have made these few people? And today you should compare the G Club and the whistleblowing revolution to those risks, to those requirements. To the risks you take, to your likelihood of success, and it's once-in-a-life event in human history. It has the lowest risk, but with the greatest chance of success, the greatest probability of success.
Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, if we could scroll down to page 117. Mr. Medrano, could you please read the 2 paragraphs under V5?
Yes. Brothers and sisters, please ask yourself, how much money did you have to take out? Joining a platform like this with the amount that you have taken out, show me, and I'll follow you. How much risk are you taking? Can you compare the risks you have taken with all that of these past society organizations and various institutions you have participated in human history? Tell me, what is the percentage difference between these investments and all the money you will get and your ratio? More importantly, what is the gap between your risk and success rate? You don't have any loss. And you don't have any financial risk as of now.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, let's scroll down to V6, please. Mr. Medrano, can you please read the paragraph under V6?
Yes. Do you think Brother 7 is fooling you? So I said, I'll repeat again, all fellow fighters. No matter how much money you have donated, please make sure that you have kept a record of your donation. If you don't have one, please reach out to the Rule of Law Foundation and Rule of Law Society, where they will base on the amount of your donation and the number of your donation. Like we have more than 100 fellow fighters who donate for us in long term and in large sum. For fellow fighters like them, they are not just fellow fighters anymore. In my heart, they are the highest member of our G Club. That's why if you have bought the G Club membership card, you would have stocks now. Why would you lose money? What risks are you taking? Is there such a good opportunity in the world? Will there be such a good opportunity again? Will you have such a good opportunity again?
Mr. Ferguson said, let's scroll down to 118. And if you could read the text under V7, please.
Yes. If you have bought a membership card, please contact each farm. Each farm can collect the card. This is one. The second one is that we have launched G$. If you open a G$ account on KYC, you can buy membership card right away with G$. This is the second. Third, some fellow fighters that are recognized by the farm can buy cards for other fellow fighters.
All right. Mr. Medrano, I want to go back in time again back in the chart. Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, if we can go all the way back to page 13, please. And if we could scroll down. All right. So here on page 13, Mr. Medrano, this is a video we looked at earlier, correct?
Correct.
And remind us the date.
June 20th, 2020.
And the first video we looked at was April 2020, right? So this is about 2 months later?
Correct.
Mr. Ferguson said, okay. Now, Ms. Loftus, let's play the video Government Exhibit C123V. And let's start it at about 2:10 into the video.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, let's go back to the chart, please, Ms. Loftus, page 14.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Mr. Medrano, can you read the second excerpt in the chart, please?
Yes. The G$ is pegged to the US dollar, the G coin is pegged to gold. The gold standard and gold price.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, let's go to page 53 now. And Mr. Medrano, this is another video we looked at earlier as well, right?
Yes.
And on page 53, the entry on this chart, remind us the date?
September 20th, 2020.
Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, let's play Government Exhibit C205V. And we're going to jump to about 3:15. We'll play a little less than 3 minutes of it.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, let's. So this was September 2020, right, Mr. Medrano?
Correct.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, let's go back to the chart and go to pages 83 to 84. You can scroll up a little bit. Okay. All right. Now, Mr. Medrano, we're going to look at entries for Government Exhibit C252 through 253. Mr. Ferguson said, and if we could scroll down. And 255, 257. What's the date associated with these four?
April 26th, 2021.
And what's the source?
YouTube.
Mr. Ferguson said, and if we could scroll up to the top one. What appears to be pictured in the top one there?
Gold bars.
And what does it say in the image beneath that?
The Himalaya dollar is a stablecoin.
Do you have any independent knowledge of what the Himalaya dollar is?
No.
Mr. Ferguson said, okay. Let's scroll down again, Ms. Loftus. And why don't we play Government Exhibit C257V?
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's go back to the chart, please.
By Mr. Ferguson.
And Mr. Medrano, that was April 2021, right?
Correct.
Mr. Ferguson said, let's go back to the chart, and let's go to page 120, please. And what's the date of this entry, Mr. Medrano?
September 29th, 2021. Mr. Skirrick said, which video are you referring to?
Mr. Ferguson said, the entry on the screen. This is Government Exhibit C405. Mr. Medrano, what's the date?
September 29th, 2021.
And where was this posted?
On gnews.org.
And could you please read the headline in the image?
Yes. Highlights of Mr. Miles Gore's live broadcast on September 29th, 2021.
And in the image, can you read beneath at the bottom of the image? What does it say in the line at the bottom?
Beneath the heading, the name on the video or?
Yeah, at the very bottom of the image.
Oh, G News, GTV, and I can't really make out that last one. Himalaya?
And Mr. Medrano, I'll ask you just to read the first paragraph underneath that.
Yes. The safest virtual coin at the moment is the Himalaya coin because 20% of the value is anchored to gold. The addition of a stable coin makes good to great. A virtual currency should be bought if it has stable coins. A payment system and a peg to gold.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's go to we can scroll to page, just down a little bit to this next entry. Mr. Medrano, what's the date of this video?
October 20th, 2021.
And where was this posted?
On odz.com.
Do you know what that is?
I do not.
And are there? Mr. Ferguson said, actually, let's just scroll down slightly. And I'm going to ask you, Mr. Medrano, to read me one, but I want to play some of the video first. Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, could we please play Government Exhibit C459V1?
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, if we can pause it. And maybe if we can just restart it and put it on mute. And Mr. Medrano, on page 121, I'll ask you to read from the first paragraph there under V1. About the fourth line from the bottom, that starts, let me go back.
On the first paragraph?
Correct. First paragraph, about fourth line from the bottom. Let me go back.
Begin there, on let me go back?
Yes. And if you can finish the paragraph.
Okay. Let me go back to your H coins. All of us, your H coins, anyway. Brother 7 doesn't have any. My lawyer said in advance today, Mr. Gway, when you talk about H coin again. It must be your H coins, not ours, your H coins.
And actually, you can continue reading for a few more sentences, Mr. Medrano.
These bastards are too dark, this is the evil of capital. Let me tell you the evil of capital. That's what I'm going to. So bad these bastards. What is called? I am talking about your H coins. Brother 7 designed it at that time. It has the first one, it has the attribute of currency. Why? It has 20% gold. Awesome, it was born as currency on the first day, so it has value, and it's linked to gold. Not to others, clear gold directly. No matter how much it raises, 20% will turn into gold. This is the golden age of human beings.
You can stop there. Thank you, Mr. Medrano. Mr. Ferguson said, if we could go now, Ms. Loftus, to page 123. And I want to focus you on V3, Mr. Medrano. And I'll ask you to read the sentence that starts on the fourth line. It just says H. And then it says H coin must be. Can you start reading there through the end of the paragraph, please?
H coin must be making money. If anyone loses money, I can say that I will compensate 100%. I give you 100%. Whoever loses money, I will bear it. He will definitely earn it. It's just how much you earn. But for you, to be honest, for you guys, it will be 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, 100 times.
And we can stop there, Mr. Medrano. Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's go to page 126, please. And towards the bottom there. All right. Mr. Medrano, what's the date of this video?
November 1st, 2021.
Where was it posted?
gnews.org.
And are there subtitles on this video?
Yes.
Can you please read the subtitle on the screen?
It will be far beyond your imagination.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, please play Government Exhibit C300V.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, you can play a little more.
Video continued.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's go back to the chart, please. We can go to page 130.
By Mr. Ferguson.
All right. Now what's the date of this entry, Mr. Medrano?
November 9th, 2021.
Where was it posted?
gnews.org.
Is it an article or a video?
It's an article.
Could you please read the headline in the image?
When you buy a coin, you buy a hen laying golden eggs.
And could you please read the text underneath that in the first paragraph, please?
Yes. Miles, if you buy H coin, you are doing right for investment. You are an investment, not a speculation. Besides, what you buy is not as simple as an appreciation. What you buy is a hen laying golden egg.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's go to page 134, please. All right. Now Mr. Medrano, what's the date on this entry?
November 16th, 2021.
Where was it posted?
gnews.org.
Are there subtitles on this?
Yes.
Would you please read the subtitle in the image?
You know how much it is worth? What is 5% of 2 trillion?
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Now, Ms. Loftus, if we could please play Government Exhibit C432V.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, and if we could go back to the chart, page 134. And could I ask you to please read the text underneath the still image?
Yes. Also, good people have to live a safe and decent life. Just like I said. Any G Club's buyers donors to the Rule of Law Foundation cannot include people whose donations were unsuccessful. And GTV investors, borrowers, and H-coin owners always have all the VVIP treatment in the future. According to your different investments, no one in the whole mankind dares to do this. You never thought about how much total comrades in arms invested in GTV. Less than $1 billion US. And now GTV owns 5% of Himalaya Reserve.
And you can keep reading, please.
You know how much it is worth? What is 5% of 2 trillion? 100 million US dollars. Excluding other institutions' investment. How much money do you have? Have you calculated it?
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's now go to page 140 of the chart, please. And if we could scroll down. Could we just zoom in on this entry, please? All right. Mr. Medrano, what's the date of this entry?
December 10th, 2021.
And where was it posted?
On YouTube.
Mr. Medrano, what's the color of the car in the image?
Red.
Do you recognize the model?
Yeah, it's
What is it?
a Lamborghini.
And can you read the text underneath the image?
Yes. Miles Gway, Echo into the Moon, official video.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's play Government Exhibit 370V.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could just go back quickly to about 210 in. Mr. Medrano, what kind of coins are depicted here?
Gold coins.
Mr. Ferguson said, if we could go just a couple seconds forward. Pause. I'm sorry. Another second. Okay. That's fine. Ms. Loftus. Let's go to about 243 in. And can you play for another second? Now actually, withdrawn. Ms. Loftus. Can we actually just pull up Government Exhibit CT38? And can we pull up Government Exhibit CT42? All right. Ms. Loftus. Let's go back to the chart, please. And if we could go now to page 147.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Mr. Medrano, what's the date on this entry?
January 10th, 2022.
And where was it posted?
On gettr.com.
As part of your work, did you preserve things from gettr.com?
Yes.
At a high level, what's your understanding of what GER is?
It's a social media plat.
Mr. Skirrick said, objection.
The court said, overruled. You may answer.
A social media platform.
Are there English subtitles on this video?
No.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. So Ms. Loftus, if we could pull up, please, Government Exhibit W1020V.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, we can pause it, Ms. Loftus. Maybe we can put that on mute. And Mr. Medrano, from your binder, on page 147, towards the bottom, it's about the 5th line, that starts. Thirdly, once you have purchased, could you please read from there through the bottom?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thirdly, once you have purchased the coins, if you have any financial losses, Chigga, Brother 7, will be responsible. You will only make money without experiencing any losses. You will only make money without experiencing any losses. This is for our domestic fellow fighters. This is guaranteed by Chigga, Brother 7. Thank you.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, let's go back to the chart, please. And we can go to page 150. And scroll down. All right. What's the date of this entry, Mr. Medrano?
January 26th, 2022.
Where was it posted?
On Getter.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. And Ms. Loftus, let's play Government Exhibit W1021V.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, maybe we can place it on mute. And Mr. Medrano, from your binder on page 150. Can you just read almost all the text on that page underneath the video?
Yes. We are proud of our best KYC in all humanity. We have 5 billion in cash awaiting for KYC. That's not what I said. He checked it himself. We have 6 major brands to announce H-Coin, and then H-Coin can buy things. We will halt it. We will let our H-Pay be on shelf and ask more KYC to come in. Finally, I told him. We briefly talked about this H-Coin issue with the governments of various countries. Miles, your design is awesome. You are a genius. Great. I told you how much H-Coin will.
That's good. Thank you, Mr. Medrano. Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could go back to the chart and go to page 151, just the next page. All right. And now the entry on the screen, Mr. Medrano, what's the date?
February 2nd, 2022.
Where was it posted?
gnews.org.
And can you just read the headline in the still image?
Yes. Investors were amazed by the brilliant design of Himalaya coin.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's go to page 151, please. I'm sorry, I mean 155. All right. Now what's the date of this entry?
February 16th, 2022.
Where was it posted?
gnews.org.
Are there subtitles in this video?
Yes.
Can you read the subtitle in the image?
Fellow fighters, you own the 4th largest digital currency exchange.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's please play Government Exhibit C491V.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, you can pause it there. And if we could go back to the chart, page 155, please.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Mr. Medrano, I'll ask you to read the 4th paragraph down, please.
Yeah. If the digital banking of Himalaya Exchange were launched and if a so-and-so country invested in the Himalaya Exchange, you would get wealthier while I go bankrupt.
Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, let's go now to page 167. And Mr. Medrano, what's the entry on this chart? What's the date? Excuse me.
May 15th, 2022.
Where was it posted?
GetTR.com.
Are there subtitles in this video?
Yes, there are.
Please read the subtitle in the image.
All of them have invested in our G series and are our fellow fighters.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, let's please play Government Exhibit C351V.
Video played.
Mr. Medrano. Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, let's go to page 178 of the chart. And if we could scroll down, please. Mr. Medrano, what's the date of this?
November 27th, 2022.
And what's the source here?
Miles Gwegeta account.
And if we could, does this video have subtitles?
It does.
Mr. Ferguson said, if we could please go to GXGTR1, Ms. Loftus. And we'll play it about a minute and a half.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's actually go back to the chart again and go to page 180, please. All right. And what's the date of this video, Mr. Medrano?
December 4th, 2022.
What's the source?
Miles Gwegeta account.
And are there subtitles here?
Yes.
Please read the subtitle in the image.
HCN highest value is.
Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, let's play Government Exhibit GTR5. We'll play about 2 minutes.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, you can pause there. Mr. Medrano, turning. Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could turn back to the chart at pages 180 to 181. And Mr. Medrano, I'll ask you to read the last paragraph on page 180, please.
Yeah. Only such currency functions as a currency whether you are on the moon or Mars. Transferring funds instantly, unaffected by nothing. This is blockchain. This is where humanity is heading. The future value of NFSC is being a safe haven for humanity to access money with the lowest cost where elites converge.
And then could you read the first sentence on page 181, please?
Yes. HCN highest value is, it is a stablecoin.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's scroll down more to page 181. And what's the date of this video, Mr. Medrano?
December 16th, 2022.
And the source?
Miles Gwegeta account.
And there are subtitles?
Yes.
Can you please read the subtitle in the image?
If HCN is not pegged with HDO by 1:1.
Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, if we could please play Government Exhibit GTR8.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, let's go back to the chart, please. And if we could go to page 182. And, oh. If you could scroll up slightly.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Mr. Medrano, I'd ask you to just read the third paragraph there that starts, think about it.
Yes. Think about it. If HCN is not pegged with HDO by 1:1 and without a stringent KYC process. Can it make it this far? It would have been long gone. Think of what it entails.
Mr. Ferguson said, if we could scroll down slightly. And can you read the last 2 sentences in this excerpt?
Moreover, FTX misappropriated clients' funds. They are a bunch of crooks.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we can go page 184, please. What's the date of this video?
January 3rd, 2023.
What's the source?
The Miles Gwegeta account.
Does it have subtitles?
It does.
Can you read the subtitle in the image?
Misappropriated your money as an investor.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, could we please play Government Exhibit GTR12?
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, you can pause there. Mr. Medrano, can you read the subtitle on the screen, please?
Which makes the customers feel very unsafe.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we can go back to the chart, please. And let's go to page 200, please. All right. Now on the bottom part of 200, Mr. Medrano, what's the entry? What's the date of that entry?
February 28, 2023.
Where was it posted?
On gnews.org.
The video or article?
It's an article.
What's the headline?
February 28, 2023, full text of Miles Guo's Get a Video.
First.
All right. And the text in the chart, is that the full text or just an excerpt?
An excerpt.
Okay. Could you please read the text in the chart?
Yes. Let us take Himalaya coin HCN as an example. Fellow fighters. Your HCNs have a lockup period, right? Suppose Brother 7 has HCNs with no lockup restriction. Then he can sneakily sell his HCNs and redeem cash every day, right? But ask yourself, what would be the consequence? Your HCNs are restricted from circulation, so while you can behold the price of the HCN, still, only Brother 7 or a handful of people can buy and sell HCNs in the market and cash out. In this case, is there going to be inflation? No. For your HCNs are not in circulation at all.
Mr. Medrano, what was the date of this article which said your HCNs are not in circulation at all?
February 28, 2023.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, now let's go to page 192. Go back in time a little bit. And Mr. Medrano, on page 192, what's the date of this chart entry?
February 13, 2023.
So that's about 2 weeks or so before the one we just looked at about no circulation?
Correct.
All right.
The court said, "What page are you at again?"
Mr. Ferguson said, 192, Your Honor.
The court said, "Go ahead."
Mr. Medrano, can you just read just the first sentence of this article?
Yes. In the past week, the price of Himalayan coin, H-coin, dropped back to around $20. With an average daily trading volume of about 80,000 pieces and a one-week trading volume of about 550,000 pieces.
And 2 weeks before the no circulation, what did this say the daily trading volume was?
Mr. Skerrick said, objection.
The court said, overruled.
The date.
The daily.
80,000 pieces.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Now, Ms. Loftus, I'm not going to go I'm only going to go back slightly in time now. If we can just go to page 189 now. All right, Mr. Medrano, what's the date of the entry on page 189?
February 8, 2023.
Where was this posted?
On gettr.com.
And the first video we watched was April 2020, right?
Correct.
This is almost 3 years later, right?
Correct.
Now there's 2 images in the selected contact, correct?
Yes.
Are these images from the video?
Yes.
What's in brackets above the bottom ship?
It's the timestamp where that image is taken from.
Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, if we could zoom in a little bit on the bottom snip. Thank you, Ms. Loftus. Now, Mr. Medrano, aside from reviewing exhibits for your testimony, do you have any independent knowledge of what a 10 is?
I do not.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. So we can zoom out, Ms. Loftus, and there's 2 snips here. Mr. Medrano, did you help make a chart of additional snips from this video?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could just show the witness only what's marked as Government Exhibit Z10. Mr. Medrano, is this the chart you were just referring to?
Yes.
Does this chart accurately reflect information from Government Exhibit 451V? The video we were just looking at?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, the government offers Government Exhibit Z10.
Mr. Skerrick said, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit Z10 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could publish that, and Your Honor. If I may publish hard copies to the jury and to the court and the witness.
The court said yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Thank you, Your Honor." Actually, Your Honor, I jumped the gun on that. We'll stick with the screen for now. A later exhibit I will want to publish.
The court said okay.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Apologies." Okay. Ms. Loftus, we now have Government Exhibit Z10, right? Mr. Medrano. Excuse me.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Ferguson said, "Ms. Loftus, if we could just scroll through the 7 pages, please." All right. And you can go to the last one. Did these snips appear in the video, Mr. Medrano?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, "All right." So Ms. Loftus, if we could now go back to a stipulation, Government Exhibit Stip 2. All right. And this is the stipulation regarding web pages and videos. And Ms. Loftus, if we could go to page 20, please. And Mr. Medrano, I want to focus you on GXW164. Do you see that?
I do.
Could you read, well, what date was that preserved?
March 25th, 2024.
And did you preserve it?
I did. Yes, I did.
And could you read the domain? You don't have to read all the numbers but just the start of the domain.
Yes. a-10.zensk.com.
The court said, all right. That's a 10.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Now Ms. Loftus, if we could pull up that exhibit, GXW164. And Mr. Medrano, is this the preservation we were just looking at?
Yes.
Could you, in the top left corner, could you please read what it says there?
AE10 Customer Service Center.
And then beneath that, in large bold letters, could you read what that says?
A 10 Project Introduction.
And when does it say it was posted beneath that?
1 year ago.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. And Ms. Loftus, are we able to add, on the right GXZ10? Just pull them up side by side?
Continued on next page. By Mr. Ferguson.
If you can zoom out on the one on the right, and if we could scroll just to see how the pages look. All right. Keep scrolling. That's fine, Ms. Loftus. Thank you. Mr. Medrano, before your testimony. Did you do this comparison? Did you look at both of these side by side?
Yes.
And how did they compare?
They were the same.
All right. Now, Ms. Loftus, I'm going to focus on GXW164. And I now want to pull up what's in evidence as GXW164T. Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, this is the exhibit W164T I would like to publish if that's all right?
The court said, go ahead.
Now, Mr. Medrano, looking at page 1, could I ask you to read the English text on this page?
Yes. Withdrawing money remotely, taking a drastic measure to deal with a situation. Using money to destroy the Communist Party. A 10 Project Introduction. Himalayan Farm Alliance Committee, February 8, 2023.
Let's go to page 2, please. Please read the English text.
Yes. What is the A10 project? Refers to the 5% equity of Gov't and the 5% equity of Himalaya Exchange. Explanation. The project was originally called A15 and also included the 5% equity of G Club. Because G Club is a top global club, member information should not be disclosed to shareholders and the public. So A15 became A10.
Do you know what A15 is, Mr. Medrano?
I do not.
Let's go to page 3, please. All right. Mr. Medrano, just the center top English text. What does that say?
A 10 project structure diagram.
If we could zoom in a little more, Ms. Loftus, on the image. Let's just start with the top row of this diagram. In the top left, could you read the English text for that?
Yes. New and old G Club cards, SEC refunds, digital bank to A10, etc. Other types of rights.
And then moving over one to the right. could you read the English text for that?
New investment more than 100,000.
And then again to the right, please read the text for that.
New investment less than 100,000.
Now, for the next row down, can you read the English text for those boxes, please?
Yes. The left each fund or entity, each new fund.
Scroll up, please.
In the center, each new fund.
You can read all three.
Holding fund, holding company. And then the far right, each SPV.
And then can you read the bottom two?
Yes. 5% Getter, 5% Himalaya Exchange.
Let's go to the next page, please. Mr. Medrano. I'll ask you to read the English text for this page, please. Just read it.
Which investments can obtain A10 equity? 1. New and old G Club cards. 2. New platform investment. 3. New and ongoing investment, including card purchase and an A10 investment. 4. Funds returned by SEC and reinvestment. 5. Digital bank project converted to A10 project. 6. Funds not received from Himalaya Exchange. 7. Other rights and interest of comrades in the farm. And note for items 4, 5, 6 and 7 involving fund freezing or litigation. The equity will be retained until the litigation is over and the funds are unfrozen.
Let's go to the next page, please. Mr. Medrano, could you please read the center? The top center English text?
A10 equity and G Club card benefits.
Can you read the text underneath that?
Anyone who obtains A10 equity will be given a G Club card of the same value * rounded in units of 10,000.
Can you read the next text, please?
Anyone who obtains G Club card benefits will be given an A10 equity of the same value.
Let's go to the next page, please. Now, Mr. Medrano, could you please read the English text here?
Note on investment with HDO. There is no difference in equity value between investment with HDO and fiat currency. When investing with HDO, please note, 1. For those who have wired HDO to their FMV accounts before 12 on January 28, 2023. Eastern Time, refunded their purchase and deposited with fiat currency after January 1, 2023. Except for over-the-counter trading without going through the farm. You can get 5% Himalaya coin reward by investing in A10 with this part of HDO. 2. For those who invest in A10 or buy cards with HDO obtained by selling Himalaya coin after 12 on January 28, 2023, Eastern Time. You cannot give 5% Himalaya coin reward. 3. For other HDO, such as HDO owned in the account before 12 on January 28, 2023, the reward method will be determined separately. In principle, if you can prove that the HDO invested is not from the sale of Himalaya coin after 12 on January 28, you can get rewards equivalent to other investments.
Let's go to the next page, please. And this looks like this is the look like a dup, right, Mr. Medrano?
Correct.
Let's go to the next one. Could you read the text here, please?
Yes. Digital Bank Project. The Digital Bank Project has been suspended due to the Chinese Communist Party sabotage. And all investment funds have been frozen in the bank. Comrades have 3 options. 1. Switch to the A10 project. Get a card of the corresponding amount and get 5% Himalaya coin reward. 2. Wait for the future Digital Bank Project, but there is no 5% Himalaya coin reward. 3. Refund. Need to wait for the funds to be unfrozen.
Let's go to the next page, please. And if we could, Mr. Medrano, I'll ask you just to read the second paragraph.
The end date of this A10 financing is not yet determined. But because it is in a state of war with the Chinese Communist Party, temporary changes are not ruled out. Please understand.
If we can go to page 10, please. Mr. Medrano, I'll ask you to read the text here.
Yes. Implementation and lockup of the Himalaya coin reward. After the financing is completed and the A10 rights are approved, the reward qualifications will be checked immediately. And the corresponding Himalaya coin and Getter coin rewards will be implemented. The Himalaya coins reward at this time have a lockup period from the date of issuance, of which 20% are locked up for 1 year. 40% are locked up for 2 years, and the remaining 40% are locked up for 3 years. Get a coin is not locked.
If we can go to the next page. Could you please read the text here, Mr. Medrano?
Current progress and plans. For completed investment, such as old cards, digital bank project transfers, etc., just sign the relevant documents for subscribing to fund shares or shares. For the SEC refund and new investment, start with large funds of more than $100,000 and complete various procedures, wire payment and reconciliation. It is planned to start small and medium-size SPV financing at the end of February and the beginning of March. And the minimum investment amount is not yet determined. This financing will be organized and implemented by the Alliance Finance Department, and investment matters will be explained in each farm one after another.
We can just go to the last page, page 12. Ms. Loftus, if we could go back to the chart, please GXZ9. This is the video where the original snips we were looking at came from, Mr. Medrano?
Correct.
So, Ms. Loftus, if we can go now to page 190. At the top here, the first entry here, Mr. Medrano. And if you could read actually, what's the date of that top entry?
February 9th, 2023.
And what's the source?
The Miles Gov't account.
Could you read the English text there, please?
Dear fellow fighters, Brother Changdao, Nicole, Little Prince, and all frontline fellow fighters will write a new chapter in Washington, D.C. The balloon event is the biggest gift given to us. Ultimately, all the CCP's infiltration forces in the United States will be uprooted. Next, the Iron Blood Group and the Alliance will live broadcast to help the fellow fighters respond on the A10 and G Club card projects. Communist Party, you are finished.
Let's scroll down a little here to GXW201, please. Actually, if we could scroll down slightly more to GXW200. What's the date of this entry, Mr. Medrano?
February 10th, 2023.
That's the next day?
Correct.
Where was it posted?
On gnews.org.
Can you please read the headline?
February 10th, 2023, Miles Gov't first.
In the bottom left of the image, what does it say there?
Miles with a verified icon vs icon.
Mr. Medrano, I ask you to read the text in the chart, please.
There will be a live broadcast on Sunday. Everyone please pay close attention to the information from the Himalaya Alliance Committee and Fei Fei Show. You can get answers to your questions on the A10 investment project. I can't reply to so many messages from you one by one.
Could you read the remainder of the excerpt, please?
The Fei Fei Show and the Himalaya Alliance Committee will answer all our fellow fighters' questions about the A10 investment project.
Ms. Loftus, if we can go to page 194, please. If we could scroll down? What's the date of this entry?
February 17th, 2023.
Where was it posted?
gnews.org.
Can you read the headline, please?
Fei Fei Show A10, Q&A.
Mr. Medrano, I'll ask you to please read the text in the chart. Well, read on to about half the next page.
Okay. About the A10 project. The 5% equity of Gov't and the 5% equity of Himalaya Reserve are called A10 together. G Clubs is an operation form of private equity companies. As a top global club, it has a high level of confidentiality, so it does not participate in this project. An investment of 1 yuan in A10 is equivalent to an investment of 10,000 yuan. And its shares are scarce and have high economic growth value. Gov't and Himalaya Reserve will not find institutions to raise funds, but will directly list and trade stocks. At this stage, the fundraising process has been completed through the participation of comrades in arms. Since A10's investment rights are relevant to the amount of investment, too much fundraising will dilute future expectations. And coupled with the continuous destruction of CCP's fundraising will be.
If we can scroll down, Ms. Loftus, please. And you can just read the next 3 lines.
Close at any time. Comrades who are interested in investing, Rapid action is the biggest guarantee for participating in the A10 project.
You can continue that next paragraph.
How much will a 10 stock be worth in the future? You can refer to the current market valuation of high-tech companies such as Twitter, Facebook, Google and ChatGPT.
Ms. Loftus, if we can go to page 199. What's the date, Mr. Medrano?
February 20th, 2023.
What's the source?
The Miles Gov't account.
Can you please read the subtitle in the snip?
That's why we need to promote the A10 project quickly.
Ms. Loftus, actually, Mr. Medrano, could you please read the text under where it says caption?
Yes. Miles Gov't interpretation is that it's better for fellow fighters to invest in A10 as early as possible. Otherwise their interest will be eaten up by major shareholders.
Ms. Loftus, if we could play Government Exhibit Getter 16.
Media played.
Ms. Loftus, let's go back to the chart, please. And we can scroll down. And, Mr. Medrano, I'll ask you to read the video text, please.
Yes. You asked us to complete the 5% A10 project of Himalaya Exchange now. Let our fellow fighters come in. I have the power to allocate the funds. Otherwise, if our fellow fighters come in late, for example, half a year later, the previous investors would have already come in and sold all the coin and they wouldn't even bother to calculate the shares with you. The previous shareholders have already taken the money, that's why we need to promote the A10 project quickly. Let our fellow fighters also get 5% of the coin issued this year. There will always be 5% in the years 98 and 99 of the future. That's why wait? We can issue it at any time. In the legitimate white paper, it has been states that it can be released at any time. Everyone is eager to have it.
Ms. Loftus, let's go down now to page 206. Mr. Medrano, what's the date here?
March 5th, 2023.
Where was this posted?
gnews.org.
Can you read the headline?
March 4th, 2023, full text of Miles Govt's Get a Video.
Towards the let's actually focus on Government Exhibit W183, Mr. Medrano. What's the date of that entry?
March 8th, 2023.
Where was this posted?
On gnews.org.
Can you read the headline?
March 7th, 2023, full text of Miles Govt's Get a Video.
Mr. Medrano, can you please read the text in the chart?
Yes. Right now the most critical thing for us that we should have common sense. We should focus on developing our A10 investment program, expanding the G Club member group and gathering more fellow fighters.
Can you scroll down, Ms. Loftus?
Most institutional investors are very envious of those who can participate in our investment programs.
This was March 2023, right?
Correct.
You started in April 2020?
Correct.
I'm going to go back in time again. Actually, withdrawn. Let's go to a different chart, Ms. Loftus. This is Government Exhibit Z11. We can publish that. Mr. Medrano, is this another chart you helped prepare?
Yes.
What's the date here?
November 20th, 2018.
And can you read the text in the selected content, please?
The one at the bottom on in the screen.
Underneath V1.
What Miles Govt has committed to since his enjoying the freedoms of the democratic West is to establish $100 million fund immediately, which will be called the Rule of Law Fund.
If we could scroll down to the next page, please. Mr. Medrano, could you please read what's on this page?
This is his money.
This is 2018, right?
Yes.
Can we go back just one more from Z9, Ms. Loftus, please? We're still in March 2023. I want to go all the way back to June 2020, please, page 11. The date of this entry, Mr. Medrano, on page 11, what's the date?
June 20th, 2020.
Where was this posted?
gtv.org.
We're almost at the beginning of the chart, right?
Yes.
Let's scroll to page 12, please. We're going to go to V5. Mr. Medrano, could you please read the text under V5 from June 20th, 2020?
Yes. I hope you will remember that when Gov't told you that you will not lose a penny. And of course, I will not let others steal a penny from us and defraud us of a penny.
Mr. Ferguson said, "May I have a moment, Your Honor?" No further questions. Thank you.
The court said, cross-examination.
Cross-examination. By Mr. Skirek.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Medrano.
Good afternoon.
You've testified about Government Exhibit Z9, Z10, and Z11, right?
Correct.
And these are charts showing statements from a variety of different sources, right?
Correct.
And many of the sources, as we've seen here this afternoon, are videos, right?
Yes.
And many of the sources are documents, right?
Documents?
Documents, yes.
Articles or?
Well, I think you testified that you performed an online preservation.
Of the online articles?
Correct. To use your word, articles. I would just say documents generally. Articles is a fair statement as well. So you have both videos and then you have articles and documents, right?
Yeah.
We're agreed on that.
Videos, articles, and some social media posts too, I believe.
Fair enough. In some cases, the source documents that underlie the charts that we just talked about are very long.
Yes.
In some cases extremely long, 2 to 3 hours.
Correct.
And you testified on direct that you created this chart, right?
I assisted with the creation, correct. I reviewed it and confirm its validity.
And when did you see the first draft of the chart, do you recall?
Approximately 2 weeks ago, very recently.
And when the first draft arrived to you, was it in a fairly advanced state of development?
Yes, it was similar to what we're reviewing now, correct.
And I believe you testified on direct that it was the government prosecution team that created the draft. Is that right?
That is correct.
And then you made some changes to it, correct?
I wouldn't say changes. I made some minor corrections. I didn't change any of the things that were on it. If something didn't appear as it did on the source document, then I made a minor correction.
Understood. So you sort of proofread it?
Correct.
For minor corrections, right?
Yeah, grammatical errors.
And typos?
Yes.
And you check the dates?
Exactly.
Things of that nature?
Correct.
So while you helped create the chart, it's fair to say that this chart was really something that the government prosecution team created in the main. Is that fair?
That's fair.
And you also testified to this on direct, but I'd just like to confirm if you bear with me. So it's clear that the prosecutors decided what to put into the chart, right?
That is correct.
And it's clear that the prosecutors chose which videos to excerpt in the chart, right?
That is correct.
And it's clear that the prosecutors chose which articles to excerpt in the chart, right?
Correct.
And then it's clear that selecting the documents from which the excerpts were taken. That was also done by the prosecution team, right?
So the excerpts from the articles themselves within the chart were done by the prosecutors. Is that your question?
It was a bad question. I'll try again. So it's clear that the documents that underlie the chart were also selected by the prosecutors, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, "Your Honor, this is fine, but just clear, it's correct, perhaps. I just object to the characterization."
The court said, if you just restate your question.
Mr. Skirek said, "Sure, Your Honor." The prosecutor selected the underlying documents, correct?
Is correct.
You didn't watch all of the videos that are in this chart from start to finish, did you?
I did not.
Good for you. Do you know whether the prosecution team watched all of the videos from start to finish?
I don't know.
You just don't know.
I don't know.
Would you agree with me that by selecting certain things to put in this chart, the government prosecutors also decided what to leave out of the chart?
Yeah, they decided what was in the chart, correct.
By definition, if it's not in, it's out, right?
Correct, what they decided to put in is what's on there.
And is it your understanding that care was taken by the prosecution team to make sure that Mr. Gw's statements reflected in this chart in the selected content were presented fairly?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection.
The court said, sustained.
Do you have any understanding as to whether care was taken to properly give context
Mr. Ferguson said, objection.
to the content?
The court said, sustained.
On direct, did the government take you through any selected content in the chart in which Mr. Gwa talks about the CCP? Do you recall that?
Did they take me, or could you re-ask the question?
Sure. Mr. Ferguson took you through a number of different selected content in the chart.
Yes.
But not all of it, right?
I don't believe it was all of them, but yes, we went through a large majority of them.
My question is, do you recall whether he took you through any content in which Mr. Gwa talked about the CCP?
I mean, I don't recall targeting those specific content. But I do recall reviewing some that did indicate stuff about the CCP.
Let's take a look at some examples of the content from the chart. If we could please pull up GXE9 at page 2. We can publish it to everyone. We can drop that call out. Let's just take a look at the underlying document. Thank you. You see this document, Mr. Medrano?
I do.
And you remember testifying about this, right?
Yes, I do.
And this is the excerpt from the chart that's a summary of an April 2020 video, is that right?
That is correct.
And this is a video, if you recall, where Mr. Gwa talks about the GTV private placement, is that right?
I don't recall exactly what he spoke about, but I do recall going through this video.
Fair enough. And as we covered before, there are statements that are left out of this summary, right?
There are statements that are left out of that. There are portion excerpts from the video. It's not the full video.
That are left out of the summary, right?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection. Asked and answered.
The court said, asked and answered. He said that these are excerpts, not the whole videos.
So, for example, there's a quote here that follows the 2-minute and 17 marker that's in brackets. You see that, Mr. Medrano?
Yes, I do.
That begins, let me give you a brief introduction. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Now, let's take a look at the underlying document, which is GXE26T, which is in evidence. I'll just ask if we could please underline in the first paragraph the sentence which begins, when you see this video. It is not a public video. Okay. Mr. Medrano, do you see that sentence is highlighted in red?
Yes, I do.
That's the first sentence that appears in the summary chart, correct?
Correct.
And then the summary chart jumps to the 2-minute 17-second mark after that, right?
Correct.
If you could please look in the second box that's displayed on your screen that begins. I haven't had breakfast yet.
Okay.
I'm just going to read that. You let me know if I get it right. I haven't had breakfast yet. And my blood sugar is low, so I can't get too excited. This video is just a brief introduction to friends and fellow fighters who have the intention to invest in GTV so that you can understand the documents to be signed in the investment and during investment, as well as some basic procedures. This is not a reference for investment. Did I read that correctly?
You did.
It continues. First of all, I would like to let all the friends who intend to invest know that any kind of investment in the world is risky. There will be risk for investing in GTV, and there will be potential risk that you have imagined. And Wengwe would like to strongly suggest to all friends who have discussed with Wengwe personally about investing in GTV, or intend to invest in GTV, to please, 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 be careful on all the investment activities before you start investing. This is one. Please carefully read through all the documents to be signed for investment. And we must remember all the information to be filled out on the issue of investment. And all the funds provided must be legal and real. Did you see that?
Yes.
And I read that correctly?
You did.
So Mr. Gwa said to please, 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 carefully read through the investment documents in this transcript, correct?
Investment activities.
My question is, this is a quote from Mr. Gwa, right?
Correct. You said please, please, be careful on the investment documents. It says investment activities.
Is it a fair summary to say of everything that's highlighted here that he is saying to please be careful? And if you skip 2 sentences down, please carefully read through all the documents. Is that fair?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection. It speaks for itself.
The court said, the document speaks for itself. He's not here to interpret the words.
Mr. Skirek said, thank you, Your Honor. This selection that's highlighted here didn't make it into the chart, right?
This selection was not on the chart.
Let's please go to page 16 of Government Exhibit C26T. I'm sorry. Actually. Let's start on 15 and then we'll move to 16. Now, Mr. Medrano, if we refer back to our summary charts. And we can pull this up for you briefly. Do you have a paper copy, sir, a paper copy of the...
Of Z9?
Yes.
Yes.
We're on page 3 here of the summary chart. Under the 815 mark that's in brackets on page 3. Do you see the sentence beginning, you may live in Beijing, Shanghai, or Taiwan?
Yes.
And the next part of the excerpt doesn't pick up until 1945, is that correct?
That's correct.
If we can go back to 26T on page 15, and we'll again just highlight in red the portions of the text from 26T, which is a source document that are in the chart. Mr. Medrano, do you see the language that's highlighted in red on the screen?
Yes, I do.
Is that what is highlighted in the summary chart?
Yes, beginning with you.
And then if we see on the right-hand side of your screen in smaller font there is a passage that begins with, so fellow fighters. You see that?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to read this, and you let me know if I get it right. So fellow fighters. With these specific information, I hope that these can be beneficial to fellow fighters to understand the basic principles of investment. I just would like to make a brief explanation, but I will stress this one more time. Please be sure to read the prospectus, subscription letter, shareholder agreement, and confidentiality agreement that are sent to you. Those will prevail. What I said is not. Don't take what I said as the standard. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
And again, Mr. Medrano, the part that we just read, that I just read and that was highlighted on your screen, that was not included in the government summary chart. Correct?
Correct.
Let's take a look at another statement. If we go to page 17 of 26T. And again, Mr. Medrano. What's highlighted in red here we will probably have 1 or more private placements this year. Do you see that?
Yes.
Does that appear, that language that's highlighted on the screen? Does that appear in the summary chart under the minute marker 1945?
Yes, it does.
In GXZ9?
Yes, it does.
Now, do you see the right-hand side of your screen, the language that begins, Dear fellow fighters?
I do.
Any type of investment is risky.
Yes.
I'm going to read that, and again once more you let me know if I get it right or wrong. Dear fellow fighters. Any type of investment is risky, and there are many types of risks out there. Please be rational, think through it, and read through the legal documents when it comes to investment. This is a brief investment explanation that Gov't would like to make to friends, fellow fighters of investment. Please think twice. I would like to give thanks to all investors and friends, fellow fighters. Everything has begun. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
And everything has begun is the only part of that passage that is excerpted in the government summary chart, correct?
Correct.
Now let's turn back to the summary chart itself. Looking at page 6. Mr. Skirek said, Your Honor, before we look at the underlying documents, just one housekeeping issue. Under the parties stipulation 9 that Mr. Ferguson referred to earlier this morning, there's a stipulation to admit into evidence Government Exhibit C63T, which is a translation of 63, which is a video, and Government Exhibit C220T, which is a translation of 220, which is a video, so the defense would offer those documents.
Mr. Ferguson said, the government objects. The stipulation is that they're offered as government exhibits at trial. not the defense exhibits.
The court said, these were already offered by the government, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, no, Your Honor. There was authentication. We offered clips from these videos, Your Honor.
The court said, would you step up, please?
Continued on next page. At the sidebar.
The court said, what is it that you're seeking to offer?
Mr. Skirek said, the parties have stipulated that these are correct translations of videos that the parties have also stiped to the authenticity. The government has offered numerous videos as well as the translations of various videos. And we're only offering these to go through with Mr. Medrano parts that were left out by the government from the summary chart. So it's our position that these are admissible as government exhibits. Even if we move them in. Alternatively, they're admissible under the rule of completeness.
The court said, let me see if I understand. The government admitted the whole translation?
Mr. Ferguson said, no, just clips. There were video clips and translations of the clips. And that's what we put in for these two videos, and we did that on agreement. As I noted for the court last week, a few days ago, that the defense had no objection to our entering clips. And they would later may seek to offer other clips under the rule of completeness. And we agreed not to object under timeliness, but we didn't have substantive objections. This is the first I've heard that they're actually trying to offer the entire video and the entire translation. That's not how the rule of completeness works. It's to complete a particular statement that has been offered by the government. They're just trying to offer in bulk the full translation, which would be ours.
The court said, the whole thing or just a portion?
Mr. Kamarju said, just what's on the stipulation, Your Honor.
Mr. Skirek said, these have already been stipulated to. These are the underlying documents. These are the translations.
Mr. Kamarju said, it says at the end admitted by the government.
Mr. Ferguson said, yes, government exhibits, by the government. Because the government can put in an opposing party statement by either defendant statement. They can't put in the defendant statement because he's not an opposing party.
Mr. Kamarju said, the question was, does the government intend to introduce these statements at any point during trial?
Mr. Ferguson said, no, as we agreed, as I discussed with Mr. Skirek.
Mr. Kamarju said, so this stipulation, Government Exhibit 220. It's the government's position it's never going to move into evidence 220T into trial evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, I don't have to commit to it right now, I guess. As I discussed with Mr. Skirek, he was going to tell us what portions he sought to offer from the full video. This is the first we heard you're offering the full video and translation.
Mr. Kamarju said, we're offering the translation.
Mr. Ferguson said, of the full video. That's exactly what it is.
The court said, have you not decided whether you're going to offer the full translation?
Mr. Ferguson said, we are not seeking it today at least. We thought they would discuss with us if they want to offer more portions of the full translation.
The court said you had a talk about this and your understanding was that they were going to let you know.
Mr. Skirek said, that was not our understanding, Your Honor. I don't appreciate that. If that's your position. That was certainly not clear to us. The government has already offered portions of these transcripts this morning with Mr. Medrano. We're only looking to offer other portions.
Mr. Ferguson said, that's not how the rule of completeness works.
The court said, they haven't reviewed what you're planning to offer, yet you knew what they were planning to offer.
Mr. Skirek said, Your Honor. Everyone knows what's in there because everyone's reviewed them and there is a stip they're admissible. I don't think it's fair to say they haven't been reviewed.
The court said, these are lengthy documents. Is it that you need to review before?
Mr. Ferguson said, correct, Your Honor. We need to know if it is appropriate under the rule of completeness.
The court said, that's only fair that they be able to consider what you're claiming should complete the narrative.
Mr. Ferguson said, what we did agree, Your Honor. We're not going to object on timeliness or anything like that if they later seek to offer portions under rule of completeness. But we may have substantive objections to it that it's not appropriate under the rule of completeness. If they want to do it later after we discuss, that's fine.
Mr. Skirek said, are we going to bring this witness back after we go through whether you're going to object to the additional portions that we're seeking to introduce just to contextualize the stip that you introduced?
The court said, can you jump to another portion of your cross-examination that does not involve this issue? And then afterwards at 2:45 the two of you duke it out?
Mr. Skirek said, if the court can give me 2 minutes to just check my outline to make sure I do have something that is not impacted.
The court said, go check your outline and come back.
Mr. Skirek said, thank you, Judge. There is one additional video that I plan to cover that is already in evidence. So I can cover that with the witness, and we'll, I suppose, just have to reserve the right to call Mr. Medrano back after we resolve the completeness issues.
The court said, so he can come back tomorrow. It's not like he needs to be somewhere, right? Okay.
Mr. Ferguson said, yes.
The court said, okay. Very good.
Continued on next page. In open court. By Mr. Skirek.
Can we please pull up Government Exhibit C11? Mr. Medrano. This summary chart covers a single government exhibit. Is that correct?
That is correct.
GXW 1005.
Correct.
Now the chart doesn't show all statements in this video, correct?
Correct.
And the video is actually quite long, right?
Correct.
It's actually over 2 hours long, right?
I'm not 100% sure of the entire duration.
But you do know it's quite long.
That's correct.
And the government has excerpted in the selected content column only 2 sentences, right?
On V1, correct, yes.
And then 1 sentence underneath that, is that right?
I believe that is correct, but I can't see.
You see that?
I do.
So we have a total of 2 sentences excerpted from this entire 2-hour-long video, right?
The court said, you can't testify. He hasn't testified that it was 2 hours long.
So we have 2 sentences from this rather long video, right?
Correct.
And the statements that are made here and quoted are not made by Mr. Gov't, right?
It does not appear to be Mr. Gov't in the video.
These are statements by Mr. Steve Bannon, right? Do you recognize him?
Correct.
And this chart doesn't reflect that this video was related to a non-profit organization.
I only confirm validity of the statement in the chart. I'm not sure what else was in the video.
Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at a couple of excerpts that didn't make it into the government's chart. Can we please pull up GXW 1005 at the 20-minute and 5-second mark?
Media played.
Do you see in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, Mr. Medrano, a watermark of sorts?
Yes.
And what does it say?
Gov't Media.
Do you know what Gov't Media is?
I do not.
Is Mr. Gov't attacking the CCP as a totalitarian regime in this video?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection.
The court said, sustained, so he can't comment on the content of what the speaker is saying. He can just confirm the words that are used.
Mr. Skirek said, thank you, Your Honor. The chart at GXC11 doesn't include any part of the video that we just reviewed, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, asked and answered.
The court said, sustained.
Let's please queue up the same document GSW 1005 at 22:51.
Media played.
Mr. Medrano, the chart at GXC11 does not show the statement that was shown to the jury, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection.
The court said, sustained.
It doesn't show any other statements on the same topic, does it?
Mr. Ferguson said, asked and answered.
The court said, if you can answer the question you may.
I only reviewed what was displayed on the government exhibits. So I'm not sure what else might have been there.
You can see in this chart that it only contains 2 sentences, that there are no other statements in this chart about the CCP. Right. That's my question.
Correct, what is on this chart is what I reviewed.
Now, with respect to the chart. In the chart the government has created an excerpt that shows Mr. Bannon saying that Mr. Gov't wants to establish a $100 million fund called the Rule of Law Fund. Right.
Yes.
And then on the next page there's a single statement saying, this is his money.
On the next page, yes.
Now, I just want to draw your attention to the timestamps on those two statements.
Yes.
The first one is 1 hour 16 minutes and 31 seconds is the end time, is that correct?
Correct.
And the next statement begins at 1 hour, 23 minutes and 34 seconds, is that correct?
Correct.
So there's actually 7 minutes and 6 seconds between these statements in the video, correct?
Based on the timestamps, correct.
Would you agree with me that this chart suggests to a reader that these two statements are connected?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection.
The court said, sustained. That's for the jury to decide.
Let's play the same video beginning at 1 hour 20 minutes and 28 seconds. And before we do that, Mr. Medrano, you'll note that if we begin at 1 hour 20 minutes and 28 seconds, that is approximately 3 minutes before the statement, this is his money. Correct?
Yes. I don't have the chart in front of me.
Do you not have GXE11 the paper copy with you?
No.
You can see here. We've displayed it on the screen. So it starts at 1 hour 23 minutes and 34 seconds.
Yes.
And we're going to start the video at 1 hour 20 minutes and 28 seconds. You agree with me that's about 3 minutes before the statement that's in the chart, correct?
Correct.
Media played.
The court said, it's now 2:45, so we need to stop. Members of the jury, we're going to take our break now. And you'll be returning tomorrow. Remember that you're not allowed to discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. Don't permit anyone else to discuss the case in your presence. Remember, no researching about anything having to do with this case, and no listening to any media reports or any opinions concerning anything to have to do with this case.
The law clerk said, jury exiting.
Jury not present.
The court said, you may be seated. Mr. Medrano, you'll be returning to the courtroom tomorrow at 9:29 to be seated here at the witness stand again. Remember not to discuss your testimony. You may leave everything there.
Witness temporarily excused.
The court said, I'd like both sides to see if you can work out the issue that we discussed at the sidebar. And if you can't after trying very hard, we can discuss it tomorrow morning at 9.
Mr. Ferguson said, yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Finkel said, Your Honor, can we ask the court one additional thing? The government was wondering if we could have until tomorrow, Tuesday, to file its response to the reconsideration of Your Honor's decision on the expert motion. It was originally due today.
The court said, yes, that's fine.
Mr. Finkel said, thank you, Your Honor.
The court said, all righty. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Adjourned to June 4th, 2024, at 9 a.m.